Hi, Dr. Paul Haider, Master Herbalist here. I'm going to talk about a kind of a sobering subject today, but I want to talk about surviving nuclear radiation. We've got a lot of crazy things going on in the world, and a lot of stuff is happening, and even, the Pope is talking about we just entered World War III. So I think it's important that we prepare for the worst and pray and hope for the best. And it's possible to survive all of this. There's no doubt about it. I happened to work at the University of California, and they were doing some experiments, and I'm not saying I'm for these experiments that they did, but we should learn from what they did anyway. They took dogs and actually irradiated them just like a bomb went off, and then the ones in the blast area died very quickly, of course. And the ones outside the blast area, get 40, 50 miles away from that, and there wasn't any difference in their survivability than other dogs. They had the same amount of tumors and everything. And so it's very interesting. In fact, they lived to be 13, 14 years old. Some of them were very grouchy, to tell you the truth. Uh, so it is possible. There's a man who lives on the grounds, the area around Chernobyl. All the rest of his relatives, they left. In fact, they all died later. But he's still surviving and never had a single radiation problem. Was a man who was a prisoner of war in Nagasaki, and the bomb went off over right there in Nagasaki, and he walked away from that. And there was the 8 Jesuit priests in, I think it was Hiroshima, and the whole city was flattened, and they walked away and never had radiation problems either. So first of all, have great faith and pray a lot. There's no doubt about that. And after this happens, and hopefully it never will happen, I'm praying that it never will, but we have to stay inside because of the radiation of fallout's coming around everywhere for at least a year, and that's important. They have to have enough food on hand, rice, beans, pasta, and dry goods, for at least a year inside the house, and that's important. All food and plants and water outside will be super toxic. They also did a study with animals also, and they fed them uh, food that had radiation in it, and they died immediately. And at Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the people actually were so parched because of the intense heat that they started have this black rain come down on them, and they started drinking it, and they died poof, just like that. So everything outside will be toxic. It's important that we take plastic and duct tape the windows with plastic so that we try to eliminate as much radiation coming in as far as particles coming into the house. Uh, Need fuel to cook food. That's important. It's important also to grow plants indoors to eat and in order to survive for the long term, because we're going to be there for a year, and without some live enzymes coming in, that's going to be hard. You can survive on these dry foods, but it would not be a healthy thing. Also, we need a large covered water supply, at least for a year. That means a few thousand gallons of water. If you think about how much we normally use every single day, that's a lot of water. You need some way of disposing of human waste. At that point, probably the sewer systems won't work, electrical systems won't work. There might be EMPs that have gone off, and so we need, electronics won't work. We'll need some way of disposing of human waste without going outside, and so there's something to think about, and everybody will have to do it in their own special way. Um, there will be You'll need kind of things to keep a person busy, so a person doesn't go crazy because they'll be cooped up inside for a long time. I mean, people would have to kind of like put together some rules of conduct because some people, it would be very difficult for them to, in that confined situation. People might go a little, you know, berserkoid, and so there will have to be some rules put down to help each other survive. I need to remember that there will be people running around trying to find food. It'll be a big deal. And so you might have to protect yourself, and let your conscience be your guide, and allowing yourself to decide how to do that in the best way. I would give people food. I just happen to be that kind of person. But if somebody is coming in to take all your food, what do you do? No, you'll have to decide that. Like I said, there will be no electricity. There will be no gas around. Cars won't work because they're all electronic. So you have to think about that also. We'll kind of go back to the Dark Ages. We'll need games to play, card games, Monopoly, all kinds of stuff that keep people preoccupied with their mind. And I highly recommend learning meditation to allow ourselves to calm everything down. Fear is the worst thing. There's no doubt about that. You will need a large emergency kit. I mean, I have one that's huge. Because there won't be any doctors probably around, and that's you're going to have to get yourself a nice emergency medical book on how to do different procedures and how to take care of life-threatening situation. Need the guidebook, emergency medical procedures. You'll need a wind-up clock. Nothing electric's going to work. You'll need candles. You'll need something to cook your food on as far as fuel goes. I would print out 5 or 6 years worth of calendars, because you won't know what day it is, and does it really matter? Some people probably won't, but a lot of people would probably like to know what day it is. Also, you probably need some herbs around to keep you healthy. Anxiety herbs especially, kava kava, mulangu, magnolia bark, also the antibiotics if you can get them. I'm not a big fan of them, but in life-threatening situations they might be super important. And I would recommend, if somebody gets cut or something, you can't run to the emergency room. It's good to have like suture material around and instruments, that type of thing, and boil them. Need a dental kit for taking care of some dental challenges. Need lots of reading material because it's going to be a long time. And maybe need some musical instruments or something, kind of lift up our spirits. That's going to be important. Also, disposable outer garments. If you have to go outside, shoe covers, head covers. You want to have air masks, particle masks, and these whole body covers that you can dispose of if you have to go outside for some reason. And also on your water supply, you'll need a pump or hand pump of some kind that you can pump the water into the house. You need like gas masks, face masks. I recommend also, if you can find an old microwave, they're a great Faraday box. They are a cage that will protect electronics, and they have these little solar panels that you can charge your phone in. There won't be any phones anyway, but you can charge up also ham radios, which you can get little handheld ones, and put those all in the microwave and put them away, and that'll protect them. Also, potassium iodide tablets, and they're taking every day for radiation poisoning. And it's most of all, fear is going to be the greatest enemy. And I think that's pretty evident. I see that with people. When a lot of people want to stick their head in the sand and then say, this is, I don't even want to go there. But, we have to be aware and what the possibilities are. And like I said, plan for the worst, expect and hope and pray for the best. And this is just a starting list. I mean, you need to go through and put together a list of your own with every exact thing that you personally is going to need. If that ever comes to fruition, and I pray that this never happens. But if you ever read the Sunflower Newsletter by Rick Wyman, then you see that we're closer on the atomic clock of destruction than we've ever been. You know, it's been at 5 minutes to 12 before, and during the Cold Wars, and now we're at 3 minutes and 2.5 minutes in there somewhere. It's a sobering situation. So allow yourselves to, if you think you want to do this, start taking some precaution to take care of this. And I believe that it would be good to get out of big cities, go to the country. And I know a lot of people are doing that now. And the cities have their own vibe anyway, but there's no way of having a water supply in big cities, and there's no way to really stack enough food up, and so I behoove people to move out. And in general, clusters of people together in horrible situations like this, violence is a possibility, you know. And so it's better to leave that situation and be full of peace and love and contentment. And eventually everything will work out. I think eventually after a year or so, after the fallout comes down out of the sky, we'll be able to go outside and do a few things, but it'll take a long time for all that radiation would die down. But eventually, you see, even with Chernobyl, you see the animals thriving. I mean, even the wolves are come back and be stronger. You know, all the woods are still there. All the animals come back. It's become a wonderful place for animals to thrive, in fact. So the earth would survive. It's up to us to take the next leap to creating a wonderful world. And I follow about 40 different gurus, saints, and sayers of the world, and like Divine Mother Alma, she's been saying over the last few years, you know, the winds of war are blowing in, and we need to heed that. And she said there's really nothing we can do except pray. And if the world would pray together, we'd make a huge difference. So, I love you.